Welcome back, venturers. It's time for another discussion about VNs. I am MR, and together with Tauros, today we plan to blast some music into the ears of our listeners. To pick our favorite tracks, we ask the help of a friend, an esteemed recurring guest, Ange. Welcome back to the podcast. Tell us why you love piano so much.
Yes, as you'll be hearing soon. Yeah, my name is Ange, usually Super Ange 128. That's my YouTube channel. As far as VN music goes, like I've been one of those weirdos that listen to video game music instead of real music growing up, and that just transferred to VNs, and I don't know, just piano just appeals to me. And whenever I actually talk about my favorite tracks later, you'll definitely be hearing a lot of piano because that's probably my favorite instrument.
Yes, as you mentioned, we're going to be playing some of the soundtracks in the background so that as we talk about some of our favorite visual novel tracks, we can get that environmental, atmospheric background so that we can communicate it to you listeners as well. So, first things first, MR, as our DJ for today's episode, how about you start us off with something like Never Seven, Haruka's theme? Never Seven was one of the first visual novels I read, and it's a very interesting title because it starts off as I suppose you could say, a character-driven, slice-of-life sort of story. Our main character is a college student who gets roped into participating in some field trip on a tropical resort island with several of his classmates. And you find this out I suppose halfway through the route is that there is a time loop going on. And yet what seemed to be a much more romantic story instead takes a sci-fi twist to it. And it is interesting. It has its strengths and it has its flaws. But one of the characters I really liked was Haruka. And this was her theme. I thought it really conveyed well how withdrawn she is, not exactly shy, but how much she keeps to herself and how icy she seems to be towards others, but actually has, a lot going under the surface, like deep, still water. And so
if I understand correctly, the reason you picked this one and you really like from the title is how that music in its composition and the way it flows just suits the character, right?
Yes. I really like style. I like when the different elements of a visual novel all combine together into something greater than the sum of its parts. And that includes music, tying in to the characters, especially for a character theme like with Haruka in Never Seven. And of course, there's some selfishness involved in this too. I mentioned Never Seven was one of the first titles I read, so it's got that big old nostalgia boost to me.
Yeah.
Especially when you have,
points.
The best girl, your favorite character in the title, so a lot of it's favoritism, I'm not gonna lie. But I still think it's also just a very good song, and it's part of a pretty good soundtrack as well for something that came out so early in the whole visual novel sphere.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I also read Never Seven way back in my day, maybe right around that time, and I definitely remember Haruka easily being the standout character, and her theme, it definitely highlights like her kind of mysterious, but like kind of she has like this emotional issues that she's gotten. I think the theme kind of subtly kind of gives an idea of like her secret nature, and I think her theme is the best, and it helps that she's the best character too, like you said.
Haha, yeah, totally. And so what about you, MR? Do you have any favorite tracks of your own?
I mean, when it comes to tracks, I feel like I have one that stuck with my head. It's from Eveniku, but in order to highlight why, I need to bring the contrast, because Eveniku is a title about adventure. So usually the OST that is running the background is very peaceful, very much of a wanderlust. It has that sense of adventure and coziness whenever you encounter new cities, new regions, etc. And it really pairs well with what they want to sell when it comes to the setting. Evenical is a title that is bound by divine laws that are equal to how the world functions, as equal to as in real world physics, right? So just like gravity, you cannot avoid gravity. In Evenical, you cannot avoid the fact that there is a law preventing you from killing and sleeping with more than one person. So those are the two divine laws. And it guides the entire world. Therefore, it is somewhat peaceful. There is no criminal code. There is no conflict between different regions. So, and there is a sense of adventure going on. Journeys, fighting against monsters, but not other humans. So, to my surprise, the one track that stuck to me was its pole opposite. And now I'm switching for the contrast. It's called Icy Ash, and it describes the moment in the story when that is challenged. That entire divine law is put into question when there is an army marching on for the open conflict, which is the most blasphemous act you can do in the most dreary, winter, isolated region of it all. You have armies mobilizing for a massive war, something that hasn't happened in this region. That if you cannot kill and you get eternally punished by losing your status as a human for breaching that one divine law, how come we are now ready for war, an open conflict? Mm-hmm. There is also, in this track in particular, something that stirs for my nostalgia in the old RTS games. Specifically, the Command & Conquer had a lot of tracks that had a march tempo to it. Most famously, the Hell March soundtrack. And this one resembles that. You have a marching army and a very sinister tempo of marching boots on the ground.
Oh, that's a good point. The whole idea of keeping the heavy beat with the marching boots. Because, as you described, it's a sense of a wartime song. It's not just... In fact, it kind of makes it worse that it's not just a wild, violent song. It's a very militaristic, determined, foreboding song that sets the mood, right?
Exactly. It's not an action in the midst, but rather a foreboding before the storm kind of track. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You can see it brewing slowly and accumulating over time. It is not yet came to clash, but you see the tension rising slowly as people are preparing for the most blasphemous of acts on massive scale.
Mm-hmm. Especially the contrast you pointed out earlier with the whole idea of Evenical's wanderlust, the theme of adventuring. Nothing bad will happen. It's just all of the charm and going out and exploring new worlds. And now you have a very different shift in tone with this song, right?
Exactly. For the majority of the time, this title you are exploring, wandering, and in a very anime style, you are running your own group of Scooby-Doo mystery gang, solving whatever happens in a given region at the time, and has that lovey-dovey atmosphere to it towards the party members you accumulate in your adventures. Now, that's why it stands. It's such a contrast when you reach this place. Like your first reaction is like, "What the hell is going on?" This is like a first very serious tonal clash of a massive scale, rather than just, let's say, single antagonist or a single monster that is roaming in the area. No, this is like a very serious geopolitical tension reaching its height, and you are wondering what will happen. Will it break? What's next?
Mm-hmm. It sets the theme very well, yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. It has that, well, not necessarily the final boss theme, it's like the final stretch of the drama and conflict that is brewing.
What about you, Ange? You've got something?
Yeah. So the first one I want to talk about is actually from Itotoridori no Sekai. Um, so I guess just to give a brief overview of what the VN is. So it's a Nakige, so basically a game, emotional game to hit you in the feels, and the setting is there's it seems it's like standard slice of life, but there's like a little bit of magic in it. And the main guy, Yuma, he's a what they call universe a sorcerer who has magical powers, and they get these magical powers by having like these books that contain these other kind of magical creatures, and they give them powers. So, for example, Yuma has the power to heal people, and his companion Shinku is his I guess you can call his book companion. And the theme that's playing right now is one of the few variations of her theme. And part of why I like this version of her theme specifically is I'll just say it. I may not like say it all the time, but I'm a really big softie. I get if when a really strong feel scene hits, it hits really hard, especially when the right song plays. And this scene's not like, or this song is not like the most feelsy on its own. It's when it's like a really nice, maybe soft, calming theme, but it plays in surprisingly emotional moments. So one I can give that's not super spoilery. So at the beginning of a route, there's this moment where like the characters are playing a visual novel together. Yeah, it's kind of a gag. It's the comedy theme for the most part, and the other main heroines, as I said, can't. So I don't know if I said, but the main heroines can't see Shinku. Since only the main character can see Shinku because she's like she's like his magic power, right? So, but he can interact with her and her with him, but everyone else can't see it. But they start like making this they start coming up with ideas of like making their own visual novel like after they play one. And then there's this moment where the main guy Yuma is like, oh hey, what if we add this character called Shinku into our game? And then this scene like starts immediately playing, and it's a really small theme, but it's like really cute, right? Like he wants to include this main girl, I guess, part of the group, even though she can't interact with everybody else. And I mean, I'd say in general, this game, in my opinion, is really good at timing emotional music, like at really powerful emotional parts. And they definitely use this particular song at very special emotional parts. But the one I listened is just like a really small one that just kind of came out of nowhere, but like kind of got me a little feelsy because it's just a really cute moment, right? So that's why I really like this song a lot.
I mean, you brought a very important point when discussing music, at least the way I see it. I don't really stress out that much about the song and its composition itself, as much I put a lot of weight into when it's played. For all the reason I gave the soundtrack that I just played right now, ultimately it was the placement in the story and the context therein that made it special. And this is, from what I understand, exactly why you picked that one, because they had a very good timing that resonated with you and made that song stick out for you, right?
Absolutely. Although, as I mentioned in the intro, I'm like one of those people that loves listening to songs even outside the VN, like in place of like quote unquote real music. So to me, it's like this is one of those songs that if I just want to like a calming song to like listen to, like it kind of doubles as that. So if a song can like be placed well and hit emotionally well, but also just be like a good song, just kind of like chill, relax too, I think that like doubles it even more for me, really loving it.
Yeah, but I would like to have a question for you then. Do you feel like, and maybe it's hard to answer, but do you feel like you would still like this song before you played the game, before you knew the context when it was used, or it's just impossible right now to separate the two? Because from my standpoint, I couldn't. Like, once I understand the context, how the song was used, that will be always something I'll remember it by, even if I listen it outside of that VN or a game.
No, you bring up a very good point. I mean, I won't deny that experiencing the story music combination with the context certainly helps. Like when I listen to the song and it has the context, and like when I listen to the music, I'll remember it, right? And generally, like when people have like linked me songs, like not when I haven't read the VN or played the game, it's a little bit. I'll admit it's a little bit more hit or miss. If it's like becomes one of my favorite songs. So yeah, you do bring a good point. Knowing the context admittedly does probably give a bit bias of like shooting it up like songs I like to listen to.
I remember when I was reading Fate's Day Night, and while I was reading it, I looked up, the soundtrack on YouTube because, of course, I was overeager. That's not a good idea. Those YouTube comments, man. But I ended up hearing that Emiya theme before I ever heard it in the VN. And I remember hearing it, and I thought to myself, oh, okay, well, I don't know, it's not really my thing. It's going for the big hype, the big emotion behind it, but I'm like, it's okay. And then, of course, when I'm reading Fate's Day Night, and I get to the scenes where you finally hear Emiya, and it's like, oh my god, it's hype! Oh, this is the best! It's amazing! And it's like, absolutely, yeah, the emotion of a scene does so much to tie your feelings and your thoughts to a song itself. Like, I'm sure this song that's playing right now, it definitely, stands on its own, and it's very pretty and emotional. But the story you described of the main character wanting to make his book helper real, in a sense, to all his friends around him, it's like, oh, that's really sweet. That adds a lot to a track like this.
I gotta say, Ange, I will definitely get back to you on this song because Iratoridori is something that I have had in my backlog for a long time now, and eventually I'll get around to it. So I'll definitely get back to you on that.
Yeah, I'll be waiting for that DM.
Okay. In the meantime, Taurus, what was the next one you wanted to share with us?
I'm gonna go in a completely different direction, and we're gonna talk about Saya no Uta, Sin in particular. That's the name of the track. You know how hard it is to pick one favorite out of Saya no Uta's soundtrack? It's like, I swear, I really just wanted to say the whole thing because all of them are so perfect for the kind of story that Saya no Uta is trying to tell. Because, Saya no Uta, it's a very disgusting title. Between all the stuff of our main character and his meat vision and all the psychological, horrors he's having to endure and all the dark, twisting paths the story takes. And the soundtrack ties into all of that perfectly. All of the haunting melodies and the string instruments wailing in the background and the voices that are typically indistinct in the background. All of the tracks just end up conveying the perfect atmosphere to a title like Saya no Uta. Again, I really wish
you definitely picked a very eerie song, right?
Exactly.
That sells on that uncomfortableness.
All of them are eerie, even when you have different scenes and you have different encounters, whether some of them are frantic, whether some of them are more on the peaceful side, whether you have some even more of the normal slice of life scenes. Even then, all of the soundtracks still has a little bit of eeriness to the background. Like, it's not like you could take any of these tracks and sub them into something of a different genre, like any moe title, like Senran Banka or something. No way! All of these are very inherently Saya no Uta. And I think that, again, that goes a long way towards establishing the style. That's why I love it so much. It's so engrossing. And it's also...
Yeah, when I...
Oh, yeah, go for it.
No, you first.
And it also makes it all very nightmarish. It's as much as I like listening to the soundtracks, it's still not always a good idea.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would say the absolute definite standout about Sinuda's soundtrack. And, I can agree that there's a lot of eerie atmospheric tracks, but I think the one you picked is probably my favorite one as well. Like, I don't even remember the exact scenes this plays in because I read this VN like almost 15 years ago, but I can most certainly gives me the song itself can just make me remember. Okay, this probably played at a very eerie, dark moment, and the way it like builds up, and while maybe not the most melodic, it just the way it like presents itself just brings up the horror-y or vibes really well.
All in just like subtly different flavors from each track inside Uta too. Man, I really wish I could just share all of them. I had to pick one. No.
Yeah. But remember, limitation brings creativity. So, but and you picked really solid one, I have to say. But speaking of eeriness, right, and something that fits the moment of, I would say, uncertainty, and that kept me at the edge of my seat. I vividly remember from Fate Stay Night the track called Breach. The way it was used in Fate, the first time it appears is when the protagonist is scrambling in a desperate effort to survive the encounter. And the way that track is so unsettling, so in a way gritty, paired very well with the sound effect during the encounter when you are trading blows with the opponent, when maybe suddenly some swords are growing out of your stomach, something like that. It really well accompanied the way the situation demanded, okay, full attention, what the fuck is happening right now? How the hell do I survive? And for its suddenness, especially since Fate tends to be divided into the day-night cycle of drama, its sudden appearance just changes the atmosphere in late portion during the night when the Holy Grail participants are stalking each other out. It is more of a calm, mysterious, silent music, and then suddenly clash, and you hear breach when something is really turning into a bad side. You are really in danger.
A lot of, I feel, action visual novels in particular, they just get their main focus on the hype songs, the ones that stand out, that play at the climatic moments, like I was mentioning with Emiya's theme. But I think Fate Stay Night is like one of the best at all of their like more subdued, normal themes. Like the basic ones, like this one that you mentioned, Amar, how it's all about setting up the tension instead. Fate Stay Night has a few other ones, like even just the normal daily school life, or another one of the battle themes where things are picking up. They're just very effective, and I don't think they're very flashy, not at all, but it's very necessary to the atmosphere Fate Stay Night is trying to set at any given moment.
Exactly, and to piggyback on what we discussed before, they are very well placed when they are used. So, for example, another soundtrack I remember, you brought up Emiya on a high point, but I remember there was a track called A Nightmare, played whenever there is a big dramatic revelation, a protagonist, right? So it also built up upon, okay, this is the moment you get an answer. But no, I remember Breach precisely because it oftentimes plays just after you suffered some sort of setback. You got hit by Berserker, you have something bleeding, someone is in a very bad position. How the hell do you survive from this point? And this is when you hear immediately Breach starts. Like, oh my god. What now? And I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, I also I agree. With this song specifically, actually think it's like one of the more underrated tracks. Like kind of mirroring what Toro said, it's better at like building up the tension because like in case people don't know, Fate Stay Night has a really emphasis on survival. So this is like one of those games or visual novels where anybody can die at any time. So like it's not like I mean, it has some shooting elements, but characters are going to die, and then in this case, there's always that tension of when you're fighting, let's say, like Saber's fighting Berserker, like you don't know Saber might not be able to make it, and there's might be like moments where Shiro wants to help, but like he might want to survive, not get hit. But I think this song, if I remember when it plays, like it's usually like towards like the middle fights of the route, not usually like the final routes, but it still really works making like the earlier middle fights of routes like still feel really impactful, like something can easily happen.
Yeah, exactly. When you got outmaneuvered or outwitted and you got put in a very bad situation right now. Okay, how to survive? Go.
Yeah, I didn't realize it, but yeah, I think you're totally right about the whole survival aspect, especially when this track is playing. When I think off the top of my head, there's like at least 2 certain instances in the plot where it plays, and in all of them, it's when there's been a sudden development that's taking the protagonist off balance, and it's one of those times when you're like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna get out of this? Like you mentioned, there's a very real chance that someone's going to die.
Yeah.
Very nice. Ange, do you have another track?
Yeah, let's see. Going off from a more battle-themed song, I want to go with one from A Sky Full of Stars, Interstellar Focus. So, this song, I guess it's just for some context, is Sky Full of Stars is a moege that focuses on astronomy. So, like the whole theme is there's a bunch of schools who have astronomy clubs. They kind of band together to form a 6 stars club alliance, like between like 6 different schools, which is kind of a cool concept. And Interstellar Focus is a fan disc that focuses specifically on the childhood friend heroines because they're more or less like the canon heroines. And this song specifically is interesting because it plays in something rare in a visual novel, especially Moe Gates, sort of a astronomy quiz mini game. So the context of that is it's not really spoilery. Like the underclassmen, since the other characters are going to graduate, they're like, well, we want to make up this cool astronomy mini game so we can invite new people to join our club, right? And this song plays because in this little side story, you actually, for once in a Moegi, you're like an actual self-insert, like separate from the main character, who's the actual main character is Akito, but you're the self-insert, like, yeah, I want to join this astronomy club, so I'm gonna play this astronomy game that people that this astronomy club wants me to play because I want to get in, and then they want you to. The song plays when they ask you like 3 different questions, and this, for some reason, this song just like really got me because it kind of, whenever I think of it, I think it's like it's trying to like emphasize like the beauty of astronomy because the astronomy minigame has like this background that's like that shows like a zoom out of like our solar system has like you see like all the planets and stuff, and then it has like these questions about it has like questions about astronomy like while the song is playing, and it kind of like gets you in the mood for it, and it just feels like the song's like trying to like get you to appreciate the beauty of astronomy while you're answering this question or while you're doing this quiz part. This is like the first time like in a while like where normally I would just want to get through the quiz as soon as possible, but like I sometimes just want to like stop and listen to like appreciate like the background that goes with this music, and I don't know, it just really gets me. It's yet another song that I kind of like to just listen to like when I just want to like something chill and like, but maybe a little bit livelier and catchier, because I think that song does that part really well.
It's very interesting that you brought this as an appreciation for, in this case, a club activity, right? The astrology, because the moment you brought up that point in the story, how the OST is located, and I didn't think I would bring up this example for this topic, but it reminded me immediately of another instance of a game quizzing you of whether or not you understand what is happening. That was in X-Blaze. In the sequel to X-Blaze, they had a recurring segment in which you had one of the main characters ask another, do you pay attention? Do you understand the lore? Do you know what we're referencing? And that was a very special moment in an otherwise chaotic game about finding oneself and another missing person, in a game about recounting memories and piecing together the larger mystery. And I mean, it's a different kind of drama, but going back to here, you have a club activity bonding its members, and as a, I guess, in a preparation for a graduation, you run a quiz to appreciate the hobby together. Like, dang, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
You basically got that right. Yeah, and funny, I actually know, since I read X-Blaze Code Embryo, I actually think I remember which part you're talking about. But yeah, same idea. Like, it's a way that, like, it might seem like out of place when I describe it, but it actually like makes sense in the context, similar to the X-Blaze one. And the actual quiz segments are really short. There's only a couple questions per heroine, but it's a really nice part in this this soundtrack, like, helps me get into these questions like a lot more than I feel like I normally wouldn't.
Did X-Blaze have a grand sweeping orchestral track alongside its minigame? Nuh-uh, I don't think so.
No, it wasn't in the Ange piano list of awesome or anything like that.
Yep,
It
1
was more
point
of a
for Ange.
comedic vibe.
Exactly, but yeah, it's always such a treat. It's like a little finding hidden treasure when you're playing a video game or reading a VN, and there's this small out-of-the-way moment, but when you listen to the track, it's like, oh my gosh, this is going for minutes longer than the player or the reader is expected to spend here. It's like trying to discover a whole new hidden corner of a room you've seen 1,000 times, but now you're just discovering there's more to it. There's like a whole nother little world here. And like you said before, when you just listen to it on your own time, it just really takes you away.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that's all super cool, and I think that's a great track for us to end the episode on as well. It's a very fitting sweeping piano piece. Oh, it's really pretty.
Exactly. Yeah.
But of course, thank you for taking part of the episode, Ange. We're always happy to have you on board.
Oh, and I'm always glad to be here. It's my favorite podcast, so whenever you guys have me, it's always a blast to be on.
Yeah, I also want to thank Ange for being here, our recurring guest at this point, a guest of honor, and thanks for participating in this very experimental episode. I hope our listeners also enjoyed it. And on that note, venture out.
Venture out.